Hi, I'm TJ Horan, Vice President of Product Management here at FICO. And I'm delighted to be joined today by Julie Conroy, Research Director for Fraud and AML at firm Aite. Hi, Julie.
Hi, TJ. It's great to be here.
Today's video is focused on data and the importance of data. So, Julie, when I think about data, I think about that as kind of one of the key drivers of bringing together these worlds of financial crime and fraud. And I kind of think of it in three main ways, right? Any data scientist will tell you that the quality of the data helps significantly drive the performance of the analytics. More data, better quality data, the better the end result of the analytics. So, one key advantage about aligning and understanding the commonality and structure of your data is helping improve the overall analytics that are helping drive your fraud and financial crime standpoint. But I also think of it in two other areas. One is just from an operational efficiency standpoint. You have lots of conversations with your colleagues and other aspects about data elements and what they are and what they mean. And by having some institutional knowledge and common vocabulary, you really drive a lot of efficiency in that conversation. And then the third area is really around governance. Where does the data come from? How has the quality been checked? How do we know the authenticity of the data? All those kinds of aspects really are important to get a kind of a common understanding and a common framework in order to help fuel a lot of this fraud and AML convergence. But I would imagine that many people are sitting around thinking, well, all this data, what kinds of data and where would I get started on some of that data aspect?
Yeah, TJ, it can be really intimidating, I think, for institutions. And as we survey and interview financial institution executives, harnessing their data effectively, it's one of their biggest challenges, but they also recognize that it's one of their biggest opportunities. Because if you can do that effectively, it can really fuel your analytics and help you kind of leapfrog where your operation is today. But I do think that as you're looking at really your opportunity, your starting point, you have to look first at your internal data and find where you have common points between fraud and AML, how you can better cleanse the data, how you can better perform entity resolution to get to a single view of customer. All of that is essential to really maximizing your opportunity to then bring that data effectively into your analytics. And I know that you're having lots of conversations, in some cases with a lot of the same people we're talking to. As you look at the opportunity for data for fraud and AML to collaborate more, where do you see the greatest opportunities and the low-hanging fruit?
When it comes to just the combination of data, you can have structured data and unstructured data. And in a lot of parts of the organization, there may be areas of the organization that are actually very effectively leveraging unstructured data, things like text and other aspects. And then, of course, there's just the pure structured data, things like payment transactions, well-structured types of information. But in many instances, different parts of the organization have different access to those areas, right? So for example, you may have part of the organization that is looking at data from a structured standpoint, that's looking at transactions and looking at them in real time, right? Instantly as they're happening. Where another part of the organization doesn't have access to those transactions until once a week, once a month, some sort of batch upload to some other system. And so a lot of times by looking at those kinds of things, people can really effectively leverage the power of their organization, looking at what other parts of the organization have already solved and how that kind of comes together. So it's been a very effective area. It's just looking at those common data points and understanding those kinds of topics. And it might seem overwhelming to people. I mean, what are the areas that they should get started on some of this kind of stuff? I mean, this data's everywhere. What do they do?
People need to start small and really, not try to boil the ocean. Find a focused area where the fraud and the AML team can collaborate. Some shared problems. Perhaps there are data elements on the fraud side that can benefit the AML side, and digital identity data. That's a key opportunity because it's something that we've long been using on the fraud side of the house, and we're seeing increasing expectation, increasing opportunity to bring that into the risk assessment on the AML side of things. So look at these points of collaboration, but also as you're mapping your roadmap, make sure that you're forward-looking as you're creating this shared data infrastructure, because you don't want to start too small and paint yourself into a corner and make it difficult to expand from there. And so I think really just the key is start small, but have a plan to take things forward in bite-sized chunks.